Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slide, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On right here on UCY.TV on April the 12th, 2016. Woke up, it was snowing this morning. So I want to thank David Suzuki, David Attenborough. I want to thank Morris Strong. I want to thank Al Gore. I want to thank all the Green Movement for cooling down the planet, because I was so worried about global warming, I didn't know what I was going to do about it. There was times there I couldn't sleep, but now that it's snowed on April the 12th, my plants are not happy, the birds are not happy, my cats aren't happy, but I'm happy because apparently we've done a wonderful job, ladies and gentlemen, and we can say global warming has vacated the premises. So now let's all just carry on with our lives. I wish. It's like Bizarro World, isn't it? Let's see here. I ripped one, or I tried to rip one for Bruce Springsteen over his cancellation of his concert in North Carolina. Was it North Carolina? I believe it was North Carolina. What a dick. But then you got to understand the arts. Okay? Now, if you don't understand the arts, and you don't understand what's going on here with the arts, lawyering is an art. Okay, science is an art. Architecture is an art. Okay, and all of these arts are used to deceive and control us. And the music industry ain't one iota difference. If you want to be successful, you sign your soul over to these clowns, and they will hang on to you forever. Speak up, well, your career's about over real quick. We've seen that over and over and over again. So, all of these artists that you spent money going to see their concerts and buying their CDs and albums, boy, did you get had. You got had big time. So anyways, Biloxi, Mississippi. Bryan Adams, who I was never a real fan of anyways, and I wasn't really a fan of Bruce Springsteen either, but maybe I was on to something early, who knows. But It says here that Canadian rocker Bryan Adams is canceling a performance this week in Mississippi, citing the state's new law that allows religious groups and some private businesses to refuse service to gay couples. Well, if I own a business, okay, if it's my business, okay, I hate to break it to anybody, if it's my business, I can refuse service to anybody. Okay? Period. It's my business. Let me see. My business. Yeah, it's my business. Okay? I can refuse business to anybody I want at any time. You know? Period. Whether it be on religious grounds or any other grounds, it's my business. You say, well, you can't refuse me. I just did. Well, I'm going to run to mommy and daddy. They're the government, you know. They're going to drag you up in front of a tribunal and they're going to destroy your business because you wouldn't serve me. Grow the frig up, people. My business. Anyways, Adams said in a statement Saturday night that he was canceling a show Thursday at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum in Biloxi. The singer says he can't. He can't. I just can't. I'm Bryan Adams, and I'm a famous Canadian rock and roller, and I just can't. Not in good conscience anyways. I can't perform in a state where certain people are being denied their civil rights due to their sexual orientation. I can't do it. Shove off, Adams, you twit. Same thing as Springsteen. Okay? I would kind of think that the overwhelming majority of the people who bought the tickets to your stupid damn concert were straight. So these people went out and bought your damn tickets to go and watch you perform, and you whiny little rat, you're bitching about religious stuff, but you bring the political into it. And I hate to break it to you, but the political realm is a religious realm, okay? Okay, you got your right, you got your left, you got your green, you got your this and that. It's all a cult. Politics is a cult. Just like religion is a cult. And these cults are all controlled by Rome, by the bar, by the banks, who all control the media, who control the freaking media. It's just the way it is. It all culminates over here at the United Nations. Now, I want to do this real simple, okay? This is not new. This is just the progression of a long ago laid out plan for the final empire. And we're just going to go back up real quick to World War I. What the hell was World War I about? World War I was specifically about creating the League of Nations and the State of Israel. And how many people died in World War I besides the soldiers who got sucked into this war? And most of them didn't go to war because they wanted to go to war. They went to war because there was a big depression and people were suffering massively and it was a way that they could get some sort of a paycheck to support their families. So they go to World War I, blow a bunch of stuff up, kill millions upon millions of innocent people. War ends. We don't want any more war. So we set up the League of Nations. And the whole way through this was about setting up also the State of Israel. Canada, who has the head of state as the Queen as the head of state, who is polishing the sneakers of the Pope. Canada couldn't sign on League of Nations fast enough, but America wouldn't sign on. The reason they wouldn't sign on is because they still had a sense of history and why they fought the war. So they could be free. The idea of signing on to the League of Nations, which is going to impede their sovereignty, was a no-go. People still had a sense of history. Why do we fight for freedom if we're going to give up our sovereignty to this League of Nations crap? Now, what did Wilson turn around? President Wilson turn around. He was pushing this like no tomorrow and he stated that if we don't sign on to this thing, there's going to be another major war within like 20 years or something. Ooh, really? How would he know that? Because he was told that. You get these clowns to sign on to this thing, or we're going to do it again. So in there, we brought in the public school system, which is not set up by your communities. It was not set up by the local people. It was set up by the same guys that started World War I. All of a sudden, we're being taught big time that you evolved from an ape. You get creation out of the schools. Got to get the idea that there's a creator, that there's a greater power out of the schools. There's no greater power, we're just animals. Okay, we evolved from the great ape. We're not men and women anymore as we were created, we're now animals, which later on turned into human resources. You don't find the word human or legal. We used to run by law and man. Under God. That's how they just set the countries up. All of a sudden, we're humans in a legal system. Let no man deceive you. Well, we got screwed there, didn't we? We got deceived. Large. So now they're pumping the kids full of this nonsensical, legal, human crap. As they work away at the next stage, the first one failed. They offered Israel, they offered the Zionists a state, but it was in Africa, I think it was, and they didn't like the location. So all these people died to create the League of Nations and the State of Israel. Big failure. These guys don't know how to quit. So, along comes another depression, and another war, and millions upon millions of people die in that war. And through the public education system and the media pushing and pushing and pushing, America signed on to the United Nations. I mean, Canada's right there. Give us a pen. We want to sign on. Come on. But America, the land of the brave and the home of the free, signed on. And since that day, there's been all kinds of treaties signed. That's why you have windmills everywhere. That's why you got fracking everywhere. That's why your coal plants are being shut down. That's why you can't access your own resources. That's why people are being kicked off their land. That's all about the rewilding. That's all United Nations crap. And the United Nations was set up by the guys that started World War I and World War II. And people got this dumbass idea because of the media and the schools and everything else and the churches that the United Nations is this wonderful body looking for world peace and the best for humanity. Well, humanity, what is humanity? It's a bunch of apes, bunch of animals. So we completely have gone away from where we started as men under law, the Creator's law, to animals under a legal system which is not law, it's simply similar, like to, but not law, given the force of law to contain you, to brutalize you, to steal from you, to take away your God-given rights. The legal system is about an unlawful system as you could possibly find because it's opposite of law. But then it ain't law. It's color of law. And a human is a hue, is a color of man. Similar like to, but not a man. So they got their United Nations set up, State of Israel set up. Have you seen any peace? Have you seen any individuality? Have you seen any freedom? Now you got these twits running around. These musicians running around that are pushing the UN agenda, which is a globalist agenda, which is the agenda of the Pope or Rome and the bankers and the bar, these fake scientists. Science is an art as well. Okay? It's fiction. So they can make up whatever the hell they want and punch it through the media, and people like a bunch of idiot sheep or humans, stupid animals, I guess, fall for this crap. So this is an important message from Bryan, it says. And Bryan says, stop 1523. Now, first of all, Bryan's a Canadian. He's in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Bryan's whining the blues here. Stop Bill 1523. Well, Bryan, you're not even American, so shut up. And I just assumed you didn't come back to Canada, you twit. It says here, Mississippi has passed an anti-LGBT religious liberty bill 1523. Bryan says, I find it incomprehensible that LGBT citizens, now this is how stupid this clown is, a citizen is a subject, and a subject is a slave. So he should be asking for the God-given rights that these citizens, I mean, the guy's an idiot, but he's also a player. It's a little puppet. Hey, Bryan, we want you to say this. Okie dokie. Because if you don't say it, we're going to cancel all your concerts and nobody's ever going to hear about you again. Do you get that, son? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do. Yes, I do. You've seen what we've done to other artists, right, Bryan? And Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. You want that to happen to you? No, sir. Then you get out there and you say what we tell you to say, son. Yes, sir. That's who these people are. They're little weak weasels. Little sad, pathetic. Pathetic is all they are. I find it incomprehensible, says Bryan, that LGBT citizens are being discriminated against in the state of Mississippi. And again, he goes on, I cannot in good conscience perform in a state where certain people are being denied their civil rights, okay? And civil, again, is that's the legal system, in which you are an animal, which you are surety for all the money spent by the so-called government, which in reality is a corporation. So you're on the hook. Civil rights. Civil rights are man-made rights that can be taken away at any time. So they didn't do anything wrong. Okay, denied their civil rights. A civil right is a right that can be given and taken away. So they took away a right. What's your big problem, Bryan? Due to their sexual orientation. Well, what's next? What's next? I like to mess with horses on the main street. That's my sexual orientation. I'm a pedophile. That's my sexual orientation. Now, you see this all the time now, trying to normalize pedophilia. You see it all the time. It's not a crime. It's a sexual orientation. Screw off, Bryan. Therefore, I'm canceling my April 14th show at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. Using my voice, I stand in solidarity with all my LGBT friends. You got no straight friends there, Bryan? Twit. To repeal, this is a good deal now. This is my. Okay, I'm making a new law. Any of you jackass musicians out there, okay, who are so offended, so totally offended. The new law is no straight people can attend your concerts. Only LGBT people can attend your concerts. And I'm going to laugh in your general direction because you're going to be broke in the morning. Okay? Because the percentage of people that are LGBT is extremely small. Although the schools are doing their damnedest to feminize the boys, and they're doing their damnedest to dyke out the girls. Because, again, that's a part of the depopulation plan. You're not going to make a lot of children if you're in the LGBT community. So from now on, you jackasses that are canceling your concerts on behalf of your disgust, you can only play to, as you call them, your LGBT friends. Okay? Nobody else go to the concerts. Just put a big stroke through these clowns. You're out of here, buddy. Because whether you realize it or not, what they're doing is they're attempting to take down your nation states. Because that is the end goal of the final empire, is the end of nation states and a world government. So we need to get our act together. Enough of this. Enough of this nonsense. I stand in solidarity with all my LGBT friends to repeal this extremely discriminatory bill. Hopefully, Mississippi will right itself, and I can come back and perform for all my many fans. You just lost your fans, you twit. How can you be that daft? How can you possibly be that stupid? All right. You signed on at the crossroads, asshole. I look forward to that day. Well, I don't think that day is coming, Bryan. I think your career is about snotted. And I hope Bruce Springsteen's career is snotted, and I hope anybody else that's involved in this nonsense, I hope their career does a deep six immediately. Call me opinionated, but that's the way I see it. Not even the way I see it. As I've read all these documents. I've been reading these damn documents for over 10 years. I've read tens of thousands of pages of these damn documents. So I know of what I speak. God, I can rant, eh? Huh. All right, what else we got? What else we got cooking around here? Let me see. I want to thank Dee for sending me that. Appreciate it. Okay. Where else are we going here? This is CTV News, so I might as well just click on the news thing here and see what we got news going on. Youth suicide pacts highlight desperate situation in Attawapuscat. Upwards of 15 youth in the remote First Nation town had planned to overdose on prescription pills as part of 2 separate suicide pacts, local officials confirmed. All right. This is a message to all my native peoples. Get your shit together, please. Okay? Please just get your stuff together. You, whether you realize it or not, are in a better position than anybody else in our nations. Okay? You got suckered into these treaties. Burn the damn things. Okay? Get away from the so-called government. Get as far away. You're the only group of people that really have an immediate opportunity to tell the so-called national government to go suck air. This idea that you're whining hand on, cap in hand to the so-called government because your water's bad or your housing's bad or your schooling's bad. Cut them loose. You don't need them. You got the resources. Drill a frickin' well already. Build some frickin' decent housing already. See, you've been captured mentally as well. Looking to the government, that the government owes you because the government abused you. Well, I call that wife abuse syndrome. Some people call it Stockholm syndrome. I think wife abuse syndrome is better. You've been abused. You were genocided. Your children were stolen. And yet you go to these so-called governments begging them basically for relief from the poverty and the lousy housing and the lousy education. Why would you think that your abuser would do anything good for you? They already captured your lands. But you do have your reserves, and some of these reserves are humongous. And I would ask you to look at your chiefs. I've been on reserves, and the chief's house usually looks pretty damn nice. And he's usually got some pretty nice vehicles in the yard. And I always notice the farther I get into reserve, the worse it looks. So your chief is a player in this. Okay? So you got to take that into consideration. And a lot of native groups are getting that now. So cut them loose. Okay, what else we got here? Health support programs for First Nations. Give me a freaking break. Did you need the support when you were nations? When you were really nations? You supported yourselves. Okay? You're just going to cut them loose. This idle no more thing that you guys got all wrapped in. You can track that right back to that rapporteur at the United Nations. That's where idle no more came from. Same as Occupy came from. Okay? It's all a setup. It's all an inside job. So quit getting deceived. Quit getting suckered. I don't know why this is so difficult for people. Let's see. Parents demand. Now, this is another thing that makes me nuts. Like I said, we are so into bizarro world now, it's ridiculous. Here we got a picture. This is CTV News. Here we got a picture of our Dyke premier. Parents demand Ontario return funding for therapy for kids with autism. Now, this about makes me puke, and I haven't even read the story yet, but I'm pretty sure I know where we're going to end up with this damn thing. Toronto. Today, April the 12th, about 200 parents of children with autism converged on the Ontario legislature Tuesday to demand the government reverse a decision to defund intensive therapy for children with 5 and older. The issue dominated an emotional question period with the Minister of Children and Youth Services breaking into tears and a parent being forced to leave the public gallery after shouting liar and shame on you to Premier Kathleen the Dyke Wynne. The Liberal government recently announced a new Ontario autism program with $333 million. That's a whole lot like 666 in funding, which will integrate intensive behavioral intervention and applied behavioral analysis therapies currently in 2 separate streams into a flexible service that can provide more or less intense therapy. But the changes include limiting this program to children between 2 and 4, with which Children and Youth Services Minister Tracy McCharles said is based on expert advice. There we go with that expert crap again, to focus on children in that developmental window. It will mean 16,000 more children will receive services, mostly ABA, whatever that is, and the IBI. Wait times will go from a current average of 2.5 years down to 6 months by 2021, the government says. Well, this is 2016. Okay, so these guys won't be in power in 2016, and so that's easy enough to say. But parents say that will come at the expense of children who are 5 or will turn 5 in the next year or 2, since they will no longer qualify for IBI. The move affects 1,377 children, 5 and older, who are already receiving IBI, 835 children in that age group who are on the wait list, and a further 1,331 younger kids who are expected to turn 5 while they are still on the wait list. I am being robbed of seeing my son's full potential to save a buck, and to me, that is disgusting and unforgivable, says Christian Ellison, a single mother of a nonverbal 5-year-old boy. This is the worst thing that could have happened to our family, short of him getting cancer or dying, because I never know what his true potential was or what it could have been, she said. Realizing I may never hear "Mom, I love you" is enough to kill a mother inside. The new program is set to begin 2018. In the meantime, children 5 or older who are being cut from the IBA waitlist will get $8,000 to buy therapy on their own. That money would last for 36 weeks of a moderate level treatment, the government estimates. But parents say it's no substitute for the IBI, which can cost tens of thousands of dollars per year. Heather Burden decided to enroll her son in a private IBI at age 4, not wanting him to languish on the wait list any longer. It cost $5,000 a month. The family sold one of their cars, their home, and their furniture, used all of their savings, and moved the family into a family of 5 into a 1-bedroom apartment to pay for it, Burton said. So last week when Tracy McCharles and Kathleen the Dyke Wynne said that they emphasized that they understood that this was a difficult transition, I had to ask myself, do they really? Burton said, no, they don't really. They don't give a sweet bejesus about you or your family, but they got lots of money, tons of money for Agenda 21. which is the windmills, which has driven our hydro bills triple them, and we're on the hook for all the costs because the UN and Mike, the boys that set it up, says all the end user has to pay for everything, regardless of how much we spend. There's no shortage of money for LBGTQWXYZ people. There's no shortage of money for Muslim Syrians wanting to come in here, and it is also a planned and inside job. It's not about refugees. It's about Sharia law. Make no mistake about it. This is the genocide of the society that you were accustomed to, that you grew up with, just like they genocided the native people's society. Okay? This is genocide full-blown. So, yeah. The lady Burden is absolutely correct. Have they given up all their possessions to uphold the dignity of their child's right to health care and education, basic human rights, okay? Animal rights. Both opposition parties hammered the Liberals in the legislature over the changes, and McCharles started crying. That's the minister. Started crying when she said, with a child of her own with special needs, she knows what it can be like. I know what it's like. I got a special needs child too. But you ain't getting no money. You guys. My kids looked after pretty good, but you guys ain't getting no money. I can see it after this thing in the legislature, right? Did I cry? Okay. Yeah, you did a really nice job of crying. You really brought that forward nicely. Okay, thank you very much. She later said she is absolutely convinced the new system is the best way to get children the most help in the right developmental window. They'll transition to a new enhanced ABA in 2021, I guess, program that will be longer in duration, will be as intense as it needs to be based on clinical assessments, she said. We need to move away from these IBI, ABA distinctions and make sure we're getting the right treatment for the children at the right time. Both Ellison and Burton said their children have received ABA therapy in the past, but to little or no effect. The provincial advocate for children and youth called on the government to grandfather the children who are already on the IBI wait list. There's not one frickin' mention in here about vaccines, is there? None of the parents are talking about the vaccines causing autism. They probably still taking their children there, even though they're screwed up to get their latest vaccine because, well, they wouldn't want to get the measles now, would they? The parents are messed up, and they're doing the same thing as the native people are doing. They're going cap in hand to their abusers, asking for relief. How freaking stupid can people possibly get? It just boggles the mind. It just absolutely boggles the mind. It's really pathetic. What else we got here? What is this? A ketogenic diet. You know, people don't understand where the cancers come from. I mean, your water's poison, your food's poison, the air's poison. Why are we getting cancer? Oh, got me. Got me. Why would you be getting cancer? Because everything you put in your body's poison. Would that have anything to do with it? Well, I never thought about it that way before. Oh, Jesus, people. Come on. Let's see. What else we got here? People still buy newspapers, eh? It's really mind-boggling. Well, let's go see what these scientists are up to. Let's see here. I have no idea what this nonsense is, but remember, science is an art. So they're going to tell you stuff, and you know, like I was reading some really, really old books, and I don't have one in front of me. I'm going to have to dig them out again. You know, they couldn't bring ecology forward as long as God existed. So they had to kill God. That's what they said they did. They killed God. Now, I don't know how they did it, but they said they did it. Because as long as God existed, they couldn't bring forward ecology. Because ecology is the worship of the creation, not the creator. Okay, ask backwards. And the scientists, it says right in the books, and I've read it in several different books, old books. The scientists are the new priests. Just like the old priests, you can't challenge what the priests say. Okay? So understand that about science. I mean, it was the scientists that told you that eggs were bad. Now, I have no doubt they're bad now because they're full of all kinds of crap. But a farm fresh egg, a real egg, an actual real egg, which are getting harder to come by all the time, you got to find yourself somebody that's not running commercial chickens. Same as everything else. It's almost impossible to find real food anymore. They told you that margarine was good for you. The scientists did. Who created the GMOs? Oh, I don't know. The paper boy? No, the freaking scientists. So trust a scientist at your own peril, because science is really a religion, says the expert. Anyways, let's look at this quickly. Here, scientists are tracking the effects of a high-fat, low-carbohydrate diet for its potential to starve brain tumors and treat cancer patients. Why don't you just get the poison out of the water, get the poison out of the food, and get the poison out of the air, and then you don't have to have a new diet. The ketogenic diet was developed in the 1920s to help people with epilepsy. It works by forcing the body to turn fats rather than carbohydrates, to burn fats rather than carbohydrates. Normally, the body converts carbohydrates into glucose, but a low-carbohydrate diet causes the body to convert fat into fatty acids and ketone bodies. The latter acts as a replacement of glucose. High levels of keton, I don't know, bodies are associated with reduced seizure frequency. It is theorized by the scientists that the ketogenic diet could be used to starve some forms of cancer. Cancer cells use glucose to grow, and they're inefficient at using keto bodies for energy. I don't know how, Ketone? Ketone? So far, the diet's effects on cancer cells have only been examined in animals and noted only anecdotally in human cases. A 2012 study on mice found that this diet significantly enhances the anti-tumor effect of radiation. Dr. Jean Rowe, head of pediatric neurology at the Alberta Children's Hospital, previously used a diet to treat patients with epilepsy and was part of the 2012 study. Well, you know, Mr. Scientist, why don't you give Rick Simpson a call and say, yo, Rick, could you brew us up some of that oil you make in there? Because apparently you got a lot better success rate than we got. But see, they don't want to cure cancer, okay? Or they would take the poison out of your water, your air, and your food. Cancer is a very large business for the pharmaceutical companies, for the hospitals, for the insurance companies. Big, big business. And for the scientists. You see, if we didn't have cancer, the scientists, we wouldn't need cancer scientists. Simple as that. We need to get back to the world that the Creator made us, not the world that these jackasses that control the world made for us. That's all we got to do is get back to some sort of reality here. So this is on, and it, where does it end up here? Scientists from around the world are also set to gather in Banff this fall for the Global Symposium on Ketogenic Therapies. Right? So it's another therapy. Just go get some oil, right? Get some oil and get some real food. That would go a long ways. I mean, I remember. I'm old enough now to remember when you go like. You didn't hear of cancer. Cancer was a hush-hush thing, right? And this is back in the early 70s. Now, sure, there was the odd person that got cancer throughout the ages, but for the most part, you never heard of it. Okay? You just didn't hear about it. I mean, if my grandfathers and grandmothers had seen how many pharmaceuticals people are chewing on or injecting or anything else, they would freak out. If my grandmothers and grandfathers saw the way people take their kids to get vaccinated, they'd probably give them a slap in the head. Like, what is wrong with you people? The whole idea of childhood diseases is to strengthen the immune system. That's the whole point of the things. Eat good food, work, and play. All of that. I mean, there's really, man, I tell you. Is Canada's food guide making us obese? Alarming number of canned foods still contain BPA, new report warns. I wonder where all the men went, and I can't help keep bringing up that series, America with a K, released in 1987, the same year that Our Common Future, the Girl Brundtland Report, was released, and they absolutely piggyback each other. If you read Our Common Future and you watch America with a K, if you don't get it after that, I don't know what it's going to take. We are in it's genocide, man. Now, we have a Canadian food guide that we've had for a very long time, but now apparently it's coming under fire as the country grapples with obesity rates that have doubled among adults and tripled among children since 1980. American investigative journalist Nina Tiechschlotz Author of Big Fat Surprise, told the Canadian Senate committee in March that the food guide has failed Canadians by emphasizing carbohydrates over animal proteins and healthy fats. The latest version of Canadians' food guide recommends that adults males eat 8 servings of grain products, up to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables, and 2 servings of lean meats or meat alternatives. Now, I don't know what a meat alternative would be. Daily. The guide also advises Canadians to trim visible fat from meat, limit butter, cooked without butter or with little added fat. Dr. William Davis, a U.S.-based cardiologist and author of Wheat Belly, agrees that Canada's food guide has done little to curb the obesity epidemic, as nearly 2/3 of Canadian adults and 1/3 of children are obese or overweight. Davis said obesity, type 2 diabetes, and autoimmune diseases are man-made creations, and he recommends that Canadians completely remove all grains from their diet. Well, what is that old saying? Bread is the staff of life. But none of her food's real anymore. Who ever heard about, what is it called, gluten intolerant? I ate some gluten-free bread or something one time. Now that I really would have a hard time getting hooked on. And all it is people are becoming allergic to the food. It's got nothing to do with gluten. They're allergic to the food. You have people that can't digest milk. They lactose free milk. Okay? Because the milk's been bastardized. The bread's been bastardized. He said his clients who have cut out grains have not only lost weight, but they're also seeing conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis and hypertension significantly improve. What I am witnessing is a dramatic transformation of human health by removing all wheat, all grains such as corn, rye, barley in the human diet, Davis told CTV News on Tuesday. A dietitian warns against vilifying certain foods, but dietitian Christy Brissett says vilifying certain food groups is not helpful. She said the low-fat food craze of the 90s in part contributed to the obesity epidemic by replacing fats in food with refined carbohydrates and sugars. It's no surprise that in making this change, we haven't seen too many improvements in some of these health epidemics, she said. She also said that while the food guide could provide Canadians with more detailed information about food choices, she doesn't believe Canadian food guide has led to the obesity epidemic. It's ridiculous because obesity is multifactional. She said there are lots of different lifestyle elements that are contributing to this trend. We can improve the food guide, but there seems to be a full multi-pronged approach to addressing obesity. Brissett said she'd like to see the food guide highlight healthy fats such as nuts, avocados, olive oil, and fatty fish. She also said that there's no need to completely cut grains from your diet as long as the portion sizes are reasonable. Balance that with healthy fats and lean protein, she said, and there's really no evidence including whole grains in the diet is harmful. So here you have science once again. We went through all of this stuff, and they really didn't say anything, but you're supposed to listen to them. And now all the health, you're going to see these stories pop up in magazines and on TV shows and all this kind of stuff, Well, I got rid of all the grains. I don't eat grains anymore, and I'm feeling so much better, and I lost 10 pounds, yaddy friggin' yaddy yada. And you see them 6 months later, and they put on 30 pounds, but that's just the way it goes. So we have all the scientists who apparently made up our food guide, and those who made up our food guide don't seem to understand, again, there's no mention of the fact that your food's poison, your water's poison, and your air's poison. Nope, we're trying to figure out how we can fix the problem for you without fixing the problem that we created. And it keeps all of them busy. It keeps all of them employed. And it keeps all of them propagandizing bullshit to the unsuspecting. And that's what I hate. I don't know what's wrong with people. An expert said, did you know an expert say we shouldn't eat any grains? No. Really? Yeah. Oh, damn. Well, I better do what they tell me then. Yeah, you better. You know? I still don't, I got a hard time for what, 30 years? You eat butter? Yeah, I do. Well, didn't you hear what they said about butter? Yeah, and I don't believe them. Why do you believe them? Well, because they said this kind of margarine's better for us. They did. 30 years later, people are going, I'm eating butter again. Really? Why is that? Well, now the scientists are saying butter isn't nearly as bad for us as they thought it was. It's actually good for us. Really? Two middle fingers to science. Shove off. And I wish people would quit listening to them. It just makes me sick. They're just getting pulled here and pulled there and pulled there. You get a little ring in your nose. Come over here, listen to this. Come over here, listen to this. The expert says this. The expert says that. The expert suggests this. There's a study that suggests this. Is it a possibility that this is going to happen? Oh, my God. Stop it, people. Just stop it. Go find some real food, and you will find that your brain clears up. Get the hell off the pharmaceuticals. You'll find your brain clears up. You'll be a hell of a lot healthier. And you'll be able to think again. And you'll realize what the propaganda is for. Most people don't even know it's propaganda. They just said some expert said. Well, obviously, I'm not an expert, and the expert knows. They did some studies, and the study suggests that I should eat oil instead of butter. That, farm fresh eggs are bad for me, and I shouldn't eat any bread at all. Really. Well, let me tell you, my grandfathers and grandmothers ate lots of meat, lots and lots of bread, lots and lots of vegetables, lots of bacon, lots of eggs, and guess what? They lived very, very healthy lives. Didn't need no pharmaceuticals, didn't need no expert to tell them how to make food. Now you look at the health of the people now. Quit listening to the damned experts. Quit listening to the scientists. People need to get their acts together. Start thinking for yourself again. Because if we don't, well, there won't be any music concerts, will there? I just threw that in at the end because it's making me nuts, these jackasses. We're not going to sing tonight because our LBG friends are going to be upset. Get a life, Bryan Adams. Get a life, Bruce Springsteen. Get a life, Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson headlined for Mikhail Gorbachev's Green Cross, for crying out loud. Pathetic. Neil Young's running around with David Suzuki, for crying out loud. Give me a friggin' break. We got to cut all of this, the noise, all of this distraction, all this so-called entertainment, all this scientific specialty shit out of our lives. I hear music. Thanks for listening. I hope it didn't irritate anybody. I hope it irritated a whole bunch of people. Back to 7 o'clock. And,
lower class and social slide.
Take
They
care.
don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air.
Take
Making money, they don't
And,
care. Caesar shit, force of air.
take
Fuck
care.
them back, it's only